ఇక భవిష్యత్తులో సాంకేతిక పరిజ్ఞానం కొత్త పుంతలు తొక్కబోతుందని ఎన్‌విడియా గ్లోబల్ వైస్ ప్రెసిడెంట్ కొండా నరేంద్ర అన్నారు. జైపూర్లో సురేష్ గ్యాన్ విహార్ యూనివర్సిటీలో అడ్వాన్స్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ స్టడీస్ సెంటర్ను ఆయన ప్రారంభించారు. ఈ సందర్భంగా విద్యార్థులు, ఫ్యాకల్టీ పవర్ పాయింట్ ప్రెజెంటేషన్ ఇచ్చారు. తాను 40 ఇళ్లు మాత్రమే ఉండేటువంటి చిన్న గ్రామంలో పుట్టానని, అక్కడి నుంచి ఎన్‌విడియా వైస్ ప్రెసిడెంట్ స్థాయికి ఎదిగానని తెలిపారు. దీని వెనుక ఎంతో కష్టం, కృషి, పట్టుదల దాగి ఉన్నాయన్నారు. విద్యార్థులు కూడా ఓ లక్ష్యంతో ముందుకు వెళితే విజయం తథ్యమని కొండా నరేంద్ర స్పష్టం చేశారు.
A rural place, a rural place, a small village, very remote place of about 40 houses. I studied, in my village of this, 40 houses, in a local language, Telugu medium, until, until 5th standard, and then went on by the grace of God, I would say, and the encouragement from my parents, I got an opportunity to study and educate myself. A rural boy from a small village, working hard, studying hard, and raising in society as well as in a professional career, reaching to the level of a vice president of one of the world's largest companies by name NVIDIA. So, I think that story, or my story, resonates with a lot of people of this country as well as the world. And a lot of youngsters that are sitting here, I'm pretty sure a lot of people have come from small rural places. Once we put our mind to it and hard work behind it, I think one can achieve anything. Now, the title of my presentation is The Next Revolution. Now, before we talk about next revolution, let's look at what other revolutions were there before. So, if we were to look at, what happened in our past history, you will see in some, in 1800s, before 1800s, our society was all based on agriculture, pretty much. The entire world was based on agriculture, and all the work that we did was with our hands. That's our human history. But in 1700s, mechanization came into the picture, and this happened in England. Now, one of the first mechanizations happened in the field of weaving. So at that time, the weavers in England had massive protests, a lot of strikes, because people were afraid of, So people were afraid of what would happen to our livelihood, what would happen to our jobs. So just like the fear that we hear in today's world, with the advent of this artificial intelligence, what is going to happen to my livelihood? What's going to happen to my job? So that's a valid concern. That's nothing to sneeze about. It is a valid concern, right? But if we were to look back at the history, now, because of that mechanization, and if we were to take the example of the weavers, now you can see all of us are able to, wear some nice clothes because of this mechanization. And it has done immense good for the mankind. So that mechanization, that technology of that era actually helped the humanity. And fast forward another 100 years, and you come to 1850s and 1800s. That's when the electricity was invented. So when electricity was invented, combining that electricity with the machines that were already invented, and those machines were running on steam technology. But as soon as the the electricity was invented, that technology was applied to the machines that were already invented. And that helped establish massive factories and mass production. And that technology helped mankind. That technology did a lot of good for the mankind, for humanity. And you fast forward to the 19th and the 20th century, 1960s. So this is when computers started coming on, onto the stage. Now with that technology of that era, the computers, the mainframes, the personal computers, that technology was melded with the previous two industrial revolutions that happened. Now that gave an additional boost to the productivity of mankind. And that technology did a lot of good for humanity and the humankind. So that was good. There were fears back then. And if you recall, back then, when computers were introduced into the banking industry, as an example in India, there were a lot of strikes in India. The banking industry went into, massive strikes all over the country because they were afraid that they would lose their jobs because the computers are being, introduced into their work. But that did not happen, did it? It actually increased the number of jobs, right? So now you fast forward to the present world, early 2000s. That's when, internet was, invented. Now with the internet, combining with all the machines and the technology that was invented in the last three revolutions, so the next one, we were able to, digitize the world. So that increased the productivity of our entire mankind. And that has done immense good. So now that fourth industrial revolution is well underway. And all of us, you and I, are participating in that industrial revolution. Now, there are fears. What is this industrial revolution, the fourth industrial revolution, this artificial intelligence? What is it going to do? I don't think it is something to be feared. We have to, harness this technology, to benefit.